Okay, guys, welcome to our very first meetup, online meetup. So today we have a lot to discuss. So let's just get started. Yeah, so the whole agenda is going to be that we are just going to talk about the Crawl4AI story, how it all unfolded over the past year. Then we have Shubham here with us. He's going to present DevDocs. It's built with Crawl4AI, and he's been with us for quite some time now within this community. Like he's one of the power users of Crawl4AI. His library is also really taking off. It is currently at 1500 stars on GitHub. Correct me if I'm wrong here.
It went up also.
Oh, super awesome. So then Uncle Code is going to present identity-based crawling, how to do that with Crawl4AI. Then we are going to present our roadmap for the upcoming year, and also we have few interesting announcements to make. Then we'll have a short pop quiz. There are going to be some exciting prizes, and afterwards we'll have a quick Q&A, and we'll wrap up the meetup for today. So yeah, let's get started. And so we have now Uncle Code, like he's going to just recount the story of how Crawl4AI unfolded over the last year. Over to
Hello,
you.
everybody. Good to see all you beautiful people, and I hope this is just the beginning for many sessions in the future that we try to build up these connections between us for solving real deal issues, problems that you guys will have. And let me tell you something that this sort of meetups we're going to have is not just very formal or not going to be like just long presentations of one person as speaker. Basically, it's going to be a variety of the topics. Even we have this internal conversation that when we are developing a new feature, we some of these features, because at the end of the day you guys are going to work with it, so why not even in the time of the development you guys engage? So it's sort of JAD, or joint application development. So we're going to talk about them, and we will even get some maybe feedbacks real times and apply on the library to change, that kind of thing. So I really like to build on public even when it comes to one of the core features. So these are a lot of things we're going to do that, and you guys can come and talk about your products and things, and to see how we can really build this sort of a very developer friendly platform, a library that can become a base for data extractions. Because the goal of the crawling is producing the data, generating the data from the raw material. It's not more than that. More than that is what you do with it. And that's always been my interest, to make it very efficient, make it less dependent on heavy GPU or devices or anything else, but produce data for AI. So that's the kind of things that always I wanted to just do something for it. So this is going to be another friendly talk. So we can really discuss. You guys have any questions, you can pump in, and then we discuss about it. So, okay, I want to just start and tell you a little bit about the whole thing about Crawl4AI, that how is it started. You know what? Just like you as a developer, and I was just moving around because I needed to do something for crawling, and I have the experience of crawling for many years, since I guess it's around 2012 or 13. I had this experiment with crawling. That time was automation, so I had to control the browser, and the browser at that time was Internet Explorer, and that was the IE4 actually. And so I was trying to automate some applications for testings. Then I become very familiar with this concept of crawling in the data, and that was very fun because you could produce a lot of interesting data and use it for other applications. Since then, for different projects, I used to work with it, and that was the kind of experience that I had to engage with all the common difficulties and challenges that you have. And it's funny that till today, almost there are same challenges. Maybe new challenges came in, but the majority, the base is the same. And last year, and I was just moving around because I wanted to build a crawler for my other business, Code, which is EduTech platform for children, been around for 10 years. We have around 35,000 students, different ages. It's adaptive learning, it's personalized learning. So we were trying to fine tune in a small language model to improve our AI tutor for children, and I wanted to have this kind of data, so we wanted to do crawling. And I'm moving around to find a crawler library, I found some libraries that they haven't designed with the AI mindset. That means their output wasn't in the way that I wanted. At that time, I wanted some markdown. It was a clean, pure markdown that I could pass it to my language model. And then also, I found some API providers for crawling. I tried them. It wasn't in the way that I wanted, and it was really expensive and not something that I can really do all those customizations that I want to have. If you're a programmer, if you know codings, and you always face with this, I can do it myself. Does it worth I pay? So why don't I build it and I make it in the way that I want it? That's the kind of experience you have it. And that was the reason I just sit down and I said, okay, I have done this many times in my life, so let's just put it around and mix it. And it's been in my mind for a few weeks, so I just spent a weekend and I built the first version of Crawl4AI, and it was very specifically designed to generate a markdown. And the output was very good, without using a large language model. So I was very excited that I'm doing it super fast, without any language models, and I'm getting real clean data. That is when it started. So it starts from my own pain. It starts from a demand that I want to build a lot of applications, and I need crawlings, and it doesn't make sense that I just keep building dependency on other third-party service providers or this and that. I need something over there, or at least a way that I can customize the entire of the things. I just need a platform to launch it. But I couldn't find anything like that, at least in the way that I wanted. So this is how it started, and then it turns out people like it. Because before that, I was doing some projects with Grok, this company that producing LPU language processing units, and you know that they're super fast. And I was working with them. Working means like I built for them function calling, as it was another open source project that became really viral and people loved that one. And from there, I doing some projects with them. Then I brought an example with Crawl4AI and Grok, and then people like that one. This is the word that Crawl4AI got attention. And it was there, and I was adding features, and at some points, suddenly, when I started to add a structured language, structured data extractions, I started to improvement in the browser and a bunch of other things. Then it become really something that people engage with it, and till today that we have a very good engagements. There are a lot of downloads, around close to 500,000 download per month. 44,000 stars, and a lot of people communicating, using it, and sending the questions. Discord channels, similar like you guys, and it turns into something that I really love. It's something, signatures that I can put outside as a payback to many years that I use open source libraries, and that's the kind of benefit of it. And I'm very excited for education. I'm really doing a lot of plans in my mind that we start to build sort of academy for data extractions. We're teaching basic of the academies, networks, codings, and crawlings, and all this kind of sort of stuff. And later we'll talk about the roadmap, what we're going to do, what we're going to have. But this is just a quick way of what we did and how we started. And I think that's it for now. Can you show me the agenda? Maybe I forgot the agenda of the talk. It's funny. So,
So next,
I did my part, right?
yeah. So next up, it will be Shubham. Over to Shubham to present his. Yeah. So we were going to introduce the team
Yeah.
as well.
I should also introduce our team. You know what? This is not my first business. I've done other businesses before, and some of them failed, some of them very successful, like the KidoCode one that I sat. It's technically the largest school of tech and business in this area of the Southeast Asia. This time, my desire is to build very small, super smart team. So efficiency, it's what I'm really looking forward, and that's the kind of my challenge at this part of my life. And right now, our team, as you can see, Arwin is our head of community and product, and Nasrin is our engineer. I guess you guys know her. She really working well on the Discords and GitHub issues, answering people's and all those kind of things. Ahmad is our other engineer helping and joined recently, and Bibi is there. She's our dev relation, and we are trying to build up soon a platform to be available for a lot of services for you guys on the cloud and other stuff, but I'll talk about them more. So the goal is how to really be efficient, a small, smart team to do more with less.
All right. Yeah, over to Shubham to present his use case, his product, which is DevDocs. Yeah, over to you, Shubham. Yeah.
Thank you, Arvind. So a little bit of context on when I started using Crawl4AI. I run a cybersecurity company here in the United States, and one of the challenges I was facing was the large language model which we are using to conduct offensive security work in the business was blocking us from conducting malicious activities. So we decided to fine tune our own model. So we picked up a Llama 3.2 at that time, and it was uncensored model, but it did not have the knowledge of a lot of cybersecurity data, right? And there was a lack of web scrapers in the market which were affordable. They needed to be affordable, so we tried to look into a couple of products in the market which didn't fit the use case of scraping tons of PDFs, tons of websites. At that time, website was more important than PDFs. So we came across something called Crawl4AI back in the time when it was very early versions, and we started using Crawl4AI to start extracting data from websites. These are public websites. So to fine tune our model, and the model fine tune worked really well because the data extracted was in Markdown at that time. And later on, we decided that let's use Crawl4AI for an internal product which we created called DevDocs. DevDocs became such a popular product within our organization that we decided to open source that eventually. And the moment we open sourced it in 3 to 4 weeks of time, it got 80,000 plus downloads of duration and 1,600 stars at the moment, and still counting. And this is, we didn't do any marketing. This is, I just launched it and I just forgot about it, and I just keep on adding new features from the development standpoint. So there's zero marketing into this. It's just word of mouth. People just spread the word. The idea is pretty unique, where you want something which is completely free, private, and a UI-based document scraper and an MCP server. So we merged both of these technologies together. And MCP at that time was pretty brand new. Now it's everybody's using an MCP server, but at that time it was very unique, and only Claude app was using it. So you need to have a desktop app to use that platform. So I built this platform where essentially you put in any URL you want for documentations. Let's say you want to scrape LangChain, but you only want the documentation of LangChain for that particular version, LangChain version 5.0. You don't want 4.0 any of the other versions. So you just put in the primary URL, and all the child URLs get automatically fuzzed, which is a technical term for identified, using an algorithm which I created. And that fuzzer populates all the sub child URLs which are dedicated to the parent. And then using Crawl4AI's engine, we start scraping each and every single URL which we have identified in the target list. And that target list is in JSON format. So that is shipped directly to Crawl4AI Docker container, which uses it to basically give you a markdown file in return. And it works perfectly fine. And the moment it's completed, you can just, all you have to do is enter the URL and go get a coffee, and then it's done. I can show you a quick demo. If you give me a screen share, I can't share the screen at the moment, but it's dead easy. We intended to not create any documentations for this product because we wanted it to be so easy to use that you don't need documentation to read it, how to use.
Do you have an option to screen share, Shubham?
I don't. It's grayed out.
What's grayed out? Okay.
Now at the bottom as well, like there is, because sometimes when someone is sharing, it's grayed out, but then it appears, it enables again.
I tried to click on it, and it says disabled.
Mm.
All right, let me see just a moment. Permissions.
Maybe it's because I don't have the only admins can share.
Something, yeah. But usually members also we just give the access to share screen.
That's a very interesting example. Those are examples that I really like to see. It's kind of perfect pair of a product with Crawl4AI engine. When I
Yeah,
think of it, like it's natural. If someone asks what is the very obvious example, a good example of why a library like Crawl4AI makes sense is your product. You are trying to it's what, when non-coders and vibe codings or people with less coding experience come to the
yeah,
game, it's a new market, and this new market does not have the capability or skills to read documentation. And like we are, for example, we are experienced programmer. We just jump to the documentation, and not only we can get immediately, we can also give a lot of complaints about the structure of the documentation. So it's a part of job. It's a part of work. But for this huge new market of people that they have ID now, they like to build their own agentic pipelines with the less coding or that kind of things. It's a really gap for a medium that can fill this, and your product has such kind of sense. And that is a very authentic example of that, how crawling can help products into that sector. And that's what I really like about it. You're explaining.
it came in because we were we were trying to prototype a bunch of agentic platforms for our product in cybersecurity, and we didn't have the time to dedicate weeks in reading documentation, creating a POC, and then trying to debug the code and setting up things. So we wanted something which can just do a quick prototype for us. We tried to ask Claude 3.5 at that moment, Sonnet, and it did not have the knowledge because large language models are blocked in that time frame. They don't know anything about today, and new technologies are launching every day, right? And that was our main problem. Is like tomorrow, something new will come in. If I don't test it out, I'm left behind. That's why we created this, so you can set things up very quickly, send it to RuCode or Klein, and then start white coding with the latest documentation of that particular technology.
So Shubham, I just updated your permissions to this channel. Could you check if you have option to present now?
Share screen. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, share this window. Okay. Yeah, there you go. People can see it. Let me increase the size. Okay. So this is the GitHub repository, DevDocs, and it's free to use Apache 2.0 license. And the documentation is literally just a very small installation script. I combined everything into one Docker start .sh installation script, which takes care of all the front end and the back end, as well as setting up all the Docker containers. It only works in Mac and Linux because I don't have a Windows laptop and I haven't tested it out. So I'm relying on the open source community to do their testing and then make a pull request. So please do that if you're hearing this. But essentially, you just go ahead and download it and just run this one-liner, and the entire platform will start setting up by itself, and you'll see this pretty little UI which gives you the most essential stuff. Now, in its core, it's designed to do only one job, is to get all the documentation and then store it inside an MCP server immediately. You don't need to click anything else. It's a one-button platform. There's nothing else in this, right? And this is by design to make it as stupid easy to use so that you don't have to think twice to use it. Now I'm going to add obviously new features like product documentations as well as task list and things like that. So all you have to do is scrape it, your data is being created, your task lists have been created, and then just copy paste that task list into Cursor or RuCode, and then your white coded project will start building it by itself. That's the idea behind it. And if any kind of documentation is missing from the large language model, they will directly query DevDocs and start scraping automatically. That's the idea behind it. And I'm going to launch that in a couple of weeks or so. But I'm going to do a small demo with Crawl4AI, obviously. And assuming that I don't have any knowledge of Crawl4AI, which is a lie. I've read the documentation back and forth multiple times. And this is a lot for me to digest, right? I'm just a new coder, and I want to make sure that all of this something can understand, like a large language model, and then give me back my code, which is what I want. So I take this primary URL and then I paste it over here. Now, one cool thing I've added is something called depth. Depth over here is an indicator. It goes up till 5. Try not to go till 5 because then it'll start doing pulling URLs from outside Crawl4AI into something else. Like if UncleCode has created a LinkedIn page for it, it'll start going scraping on LinkedIn. So try to do it up until 3. What it does is it starts to see if that particular page has any other URLs or not. If it has any other URL, it will start scraping that URL and adds it to the JSON list of other URLs. So if you have any hidden URLs in your website, in your documentation, which is not public, it will start finding that too. It's helpful if you know that particular documentation and they start deleting their previous versions, or they start decommissioning it. So like AWS, they decommission their previous versions very quickly, so you can't access that previous version. Only the latest version is available every time. And last time I scraped Crawl4AI, there were 75 pages. Now it's 41. So clearly, you have been deleting pages, which is good news because there's not a lot of bloat which you want on your documentation. So you just plug it in over here, hit discover, and then you go have your coffee or whatever. And what you're going to see on the top is all the URLs which you start going to discover it by itself. This is the algorithm which I was talking about, which starts finding all the sub URLs or the child URLs which are associated with docs.crawl4ai.com. For example, you have the parent one over here, then you have the core ask AI, then you have the core LLM TXT, quick start examples, things like that. But as you can see, the parent URL remains constant. That's what you want. You don't want it to start scraping their blog post or their investor page or anything else which they have associated with crawl4ai.com. It only does it for docs.crawl4ai.com. I'll give it a few minutes because Crawl4AI is pretty fast in scraping, so I'll go ahead and give it like a minute or two.
Here,
And
okay, sorry, just a question just jumped to my mind. But go on. I forgot we are in a meetup. Just go on.
That's okay. Two things which I want to point out while this is going on is, first thing is the MCP server. You just click on this particular cog wheel on the top right. That gives you MCP configuration. Based on your operating system, the MCP server automatically gets configured to how it is supposed to be. You don't need to write anything else. All you have to do is copy this entire thing and paste it in something like this Claude. Yeah, you go to settings and then you go to developer and then you go. I've already added it, so I'm not gonna do it. You just go ahead and click on edit config and just copy paste it, and then you save it and you exit. Cloud Desktop will automatically start recognizing that there is an MCP server. We need to figure it out, and then when you click over here, you get the fast markdown and all its tools associated, which were created by me to ensure that it gets synced and all your data is being pulled accurately. So yeah, and as long as you see this container running, there's a container for MCP, front-end, back-end, and Crawl4AI. There are 4 containers which are running at the same time. As long as it's running, your MCP server is functional. In order for your MCP server to be functional, you need to have DevDocs running all the time. That's the only thing. So it seems like it is. Oh, it's still doing 72. Good.
And can I ask something?
Please.
So technically, if let's say if you already indexed popular libraries and all these kind of things, and when people connect your MCP to their whatever clients that they're using, they don't need to be even concerned about the crawling part because it's happening with DevDocs. So the data is already crawled and everything is there, right? And also, if let's say in futures, I guess if the version is changing, you may reindex and crawled the new version. So I can envision that in future there are your applications is exposing an MCP to all popular libraries that right away I can connect it to my WinSurf or Cursor or Cloudy Desktop or anything else. So I just it's there as a context. So you're basically providing context as a service, and this context comes from libraries documentation. Is this a correct way of thinking?
Yeah, that's the eventual future for it. The challenge with that, which doesn't sit right with me, is the privacy part. This entire program, what I don't want to happen is I own the entire product where the scraping happens behind the scene and the user doesn't have any control on it. All they have access to is just an MCP server, which they can connect to. So the entire mode of the product is sitting on my server and not on theirs. The challenge which our users are actually enterprise users. They have internal Confluence documentations which needs to be scraped very, very efficiently. So this entire product is shipped to one of a company, Fortune 100 company, which is using it actually, like even till today they are using it, and DevDocs, and they just scrape all their Jiras, all their Confluence, all their ServiceNow reports to ensure that it's up to date. And they use that for customer service. So I wanted to keep this open sourced and flexible enough for a customer to make changes the way they want it, because everything is in front of them, the code and as well as Crawl4AI. It makes it easier for them to make any changes. But yeah, what you're talking about is going to be individual product, which I'm going to release, where you can log in and you whatever you scrape is yours to keep. We will not use it for anything else. We will not share it with 5 more people.
Or technically, if because I can launch DevDocs on my own server and I index my favorite libraries, and if I put it behind my own VPN or ngrug or anything, I can expose to my staffs, my teams, everyone else, so they can attach it to their favorite code editor and they get access. That's I think it not only for enterprise with private data. Almost every software development team can be a very potential user of this. Either they run it by themselves as an open source projects for them, because it's really cool. Because for example, every team used to pick up some favorite open source tools, and they want all of their software developers to follow those tools in whatever they build, right? And so it's a one single source of truth with their LLM. I can be sure that my team members, if they use different LLM, they don't come up with different, hallucination. And my job at the end of the day is not reviewing their LLM hallucinations. So it comes from one single documentation. I think that's very, very, very helpful products. It's very, very interesting. It should.
It has a lot of when it comes to software development, and I've built a couple of features into our flagship product in cybersecurity using DevDocs, and it works. So back to the demo real quick. You click on this indicator on the right side to see what's the status of the job, and every job has its own unique UUID, unique identifier, which you can trace it in Docker itself. And all you need to see is if the discovery has been completed. What this just means is that all the links associated with that parent link, the sublinks, have been discovered. There is nothing more than this, right? So now you have 100% of coverage on docs.crawl4ai.com. That's it. 100%. All you have to do is click on this, or you can individually pick if you want, and it'll be stored in your library, in your MCP server. But I just use it all, select all pending, and then just hit crawl selected. And then you look at this number over here, it'll start increasing to 87. And as it starts finding these web pages, it's also going to find if this web page doesn't exist anymore. For example, it's now directly linked to the status code of the website. This is a very new addition where if it is 404, the web page will not be crawled because it is just 404. It's nothing on the site. So this helps whenever there is orphan pages, which developer wants to remove it, but they're in the process of migrating. In this case, it's quick start examples, installation. These are all giving me 404s for some reason, and then there's 200s, 200 school. So apparently he has moved all the documentation from slash quick start to slash core slash quick start.
That's very true.
So it's pulling the right documentation from the right sources, and it's deleting the ones which is not required.
Very good. I feel excited. Watching this, I feel excited. That's very good. I like that. I like that, really.
Crawl4AI works extremely fast in terms of scraping, and if you don't make that crawler.py file very complicated, it's going to be very fast. So don't make it extra complicated with using large language models in this, because that slows down the whole process. Obviously, that's another feature which I'm trying to push in from Crawl4AI using LLMs, but I have not seen a use case which this cannot do. If this can do something really well, there is no need for a large language model to come in and make it more complicated, my opinion. So I refrain from it. So as you can see on the top, it says data crawled, 87 out of 87. That's good news. That means none of them are erroring out. If there is an error, this entire completed part is just going to show the actual error. So you can just ask a large language model what the error was, and it's going to point out to the right code base. And all the data which is extracted, it's written over here in KB. Should you be interested in understanding how big is the markdown file, it's going to be 533 KBs. It helps during fine-tuning process, because when you're doing this on a large scale, you don't use the UI, you just use a command line, and you need to know how large is your markdown files for fine-tuning. So this is done. I've already piped my MCP server, and all I have to ask is, this is the moment of truth. Okay. Please don't fail. There you go. This docs.crawl4ai.com appears to be documentation from the Crawl4ai website, and this is AG2, which is there for a long time.
I think we're not seeing that. I think it's not in the screen right now. Huh?
Oh no. Yeah. I need to share.
The moment of truth wasn't.
No, it's there.
You had the fun only yourself.
No, it's there.
Beautiful.
I just ask, what are the files in my MCP? This is the most simplest test to see if your MCP server is alive and DevDocs is working correctly. Is you just ask, what are the files available, and it's going to go ahead and crawl all the data from your MCP server and then bring it. Now, cool part is, since I have all the tools inside it, including smart selection, you can ask, tell me about the LM. So what it's going to do is it's going to go to the MCP server and then find this particular keyword, LLM scraping, if it does find it, using that particular tool which I created. Well, Claude hit the maximum length. Sorry. I'm on the I'm a ChatGPT business, so all my money goes to ChatGPT. But you can use something like
very interesting.
to get the same output.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Especially, uh, I noticed that you have a good bunch of tools. It looks like around 10 to 12 tools I just saw, right? With this MCP,
Yeah.
okay. And this Opus 4 series are very, very good in long-term planning, and I can see it myself in the work. I mean, like they can make good use of the 10 tools easily. A lot of sequential tools to generate the final answers. I'm excited to ask some challenging question about Crawl4AI that and see how it really replies back. Because to be honest, this is super good. Many people in Discord every day come and ask questions that many of them are similar. So when I see similar question, it tells me that maybe I have to improve documentation or something like that. But this is going to be very helpful for community because you guys can install it and ask your questions about Opus to generate the code and everything. Typical challenges that people face with it. It's really interesting, and that's we should play around with it.
Yeah, and the way I use it is not through Cloud Desktop. I use it through the RuCode or Klein, and here you can see is the MCP server and all its tools which are available. You can read about it in detail once you upload it to RuCode, or what it can do and what it cannot do. The Smart Section Search is the latest one, where it can query, it can identify using regex, using fuzzy, as well as find out all the results available across all documentations in the MCP server. This replaces the standard search files, which is now useless at the moment.
This is very good. Turning static documentation into a very what when I look at this, I feel that it's so good that in your backlog you add this ability or just this module that I can add it quickly into my website, so I can have an AI chat like Ask AI in my documentation website that uses DevDocs as a service behind. So I can run a DevDocs in my server, and my chat clients in my documents talk with DevDocs. And already I index my library so people can, and which page I am, I let to know one of your tools and get
Yeah.
immediately response in my website. Going to be very, very helpful for having a proper chat rather than just a dummy one in documentation website.
Yeah, a lot of documentation website now has a chat feature. The only problem is that it tells me where to find that particular
Yeah,
documentation.
not called
I
yet.
want code everything for me. I think your platform does that into some capacity, and that's pretty good. I've used it where it asks me, where I have asked it to start writing code, and it does the coding for me. But I'm sure that once you have smart selection on your platform, once we have this managed service, it's going to be much more efficient for businesses to start using it.
Thank
Perfect.
you so much. Really
Yes.
perfect.
Thank you, Shubham. And I wanted to ask Uncle Code, how is the feeling of knowing that this is a real use case of your product? You've been
So good. It looks seeing your child success in the life.
Yeah.
being recognized.
To be honest, it's like that. Truly, when I see people come and ask questions, part of their real projects, because in Discord I have seen a lot of students, researchers, developers, startups, funders, and it's extremely rewarding. It's rewarding. It's just like rewarding. That's why even I like to just more like today meetup. We hear what people are making from Crawl4AI. This it's just a reinforcement learning. I get the feedback and I put in my brain and I continue fine tuning myself. It's super good. It's really, I feel perfect because it's so beautiful when you build something to be able to see when people build from what you build. That's a two different scenario. When you build a product, that's one is beautiful. You see people come and use it. But when you build also something that become a core into many other people's products, you injected yourself into people's dreams, into people's imagination. So you are with them and you go with them. That's very interesting. So yes, it's so good, baby. It's perfect. It's perfect.
Yeah, glad to see that and like happy to witness this. Thank you again, Shubham. Thank you for your presentation and great presentation and demo of DevDocs. I think we'll back to UncleCode. Let's go with your presentation, UncleCode,
Okay.
and the
So
quick roadmap.
to give me a bit sense of time, how much time we have till the end of our meetup?
Actually, we have another maybe 40 minutes max, but we still have pop quiz and Q&A, which is we allocated another like 20 minutes for that. So we need to wrap it up, your presentation and the quick roadmap within like 20-25 minutes.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is this. One thing that I heard from many people is how we can handle situation that we need our identity. For example, let's say I want to extract some information from a Twitter website or from LinkedIn or from other places that require username, password, require login, require you build that human identity to not face with the bot detections, that kind of stuff. So what I'm going to do is I will just quickly show some one example that we have here, because I guess it's good that we do another meetup only for this. It takes more time. I jump to the codes and explain all those kind of things, and perhaps I'm going to record a video about it and put in the YouTube channel also to help people. So that's what I'm going to do right now, and then I will talk about the roadmap. I guess the roadmap is good to be discussed here, and then we continue with the quiz part and other stuff to get the best out of the time that we have. So in general, one thing that you can think of the bot detection. When this collision happen, when this become a thing, when you are trying to crawl some information, extract some information, automate some things on a page that you can see it on your computers. You as a human can see it. This is your data. You see it, so you must have it. That's my principle. You see it, you must have it. And then when you start to react, there are certain defensive mechanisms on the page, on the website, on the applications to consider you as those automated bots. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make, because you're not that kind of example. And it doesn't make sense in the greater scales. Google is the biggest bot of all other planets and these planets and all the universes. That's how they do the business. 96% of Google revenue is still is advertisement. And means whatever else Google does, it contributes less than 10% in the revenue, but contribute in their future cash flow, in their business in the future. So crawling is core for them. OpenAI without crawling is nothing. Data matters. So if you get more data, you get more benefits. And it's funny that when OpenAI did all the crawlings and they released the language models, then Reddit stopped access to the Reddit, make it like a license. Or when Elon Musk got Twitter, then it started to say that no one can crawl it. So you can see that it's not naturally something should be there. People use this as a leverage. So you should learn the skills to move against this a little bit, because that's your identity. Otherwise, you are doomed. And whatever application that you create, this is part of that. So when it comes to this, my approach is not finding way to trick that system. My approach is no, it says I am human. So I try to pick up tools to make sure that I am a human. Yeah, this is me. I want to crawl and here, and don't talk, label me as a bot or anything else. Let me do my job. This is a different way of technique. So two categories. Category that make browser undetectable. Category that says I don't care about it. I make sure the website knows this is a person, human. And this is what I'm talking about. There are multiple techniques and approaches. I'm thinking to talk about them in different meetings and different talks. Maybe there are 5, 6 that are really smart. One, you can easily handle Cloudflare, for example. If you can't handle that one, basically you can handle anything else. But it required a little bit of hard working. But I'm trying to see how can I really create a kind of wrapper around the whole thing to make it simple and easy for whatever you guys are going to build. So let me just show a little bit of workshops that we can have another day with the full details. Now I'm going to share my screen. I think now it's my time, Arvin, to have issue with sharing the screen. So you can see what should I do?
You are
Maybe
admin of the server, so you should not have face any problems, I guess.
this is funny because it show me that it's disabled. The button is disabled.
Oh, for you too? Okay.
Yeah, for me too. I guess this is
You need to click on the one on the bottom,
At the
not the
bottom,
one on.
on the side. It's not on the side.
bottom left, right? Bottom left.
No,
No, at
no,
the
not
bottom
bottom.
center.
Oh, I can see that. So why that bottom left
Yeah,
exists?
actually true. It's so misleading, right?
Yeah, it's just like wow, frame rate 60. I made the frame rate 30 and resolution 1080. Okay, you guys can see now,
Mhm.
right? Can you see, guys?
Yes, we can
Yeah.
see very
Okay.
nicely.
So this tutorial, the links collabs available. You guys can later go and do that. This is something interesting. In this collab, you will get excited because you will see Chromium inside collab, and you'll get play with the Chromium inside the collab. Think about it, Chromium inside collab, and you will see that one. So to just get you a little bit excited, let's look at it. This is a Chromium running inside the Colab. It's a real one. You can interact. You can create a new page, new tabs, and do everything. It's running inside your Colab, running on the Linux, which is underneath the Colab, and let you to do a lot of stuff. So when you do crawling, you can do crawling in the headful mode. And headful mode is interesting, when you can do that. And I tell you how you can make good use of this one and then running it. But we are working on a feature that led you to embed browser everywhere, literally everywhere, and you can build a lot of applications out of it and help you to do your crawling within the browser. You can see what is going on, and it's not necessarily if you are running it on Mac or Windows or you're in a desktop or whatever. So Colab is the interesting example here, but I will explain more about it. In this tutorial that we're going to talk about it, and I'm going to go through it quickly. But in another meetings, we will go and talk in detail. What we are trying to do, the case study is this. This is just a sample case study. I am a person in the sales department, or I am a marketer, and what I'm going to do, I have a service, and I want to offer to many companies, enterprises. And what I want to do, I want to extract these enterprises informations from each enterprise page. I want to go to the people page in the LinkedIn and extract people works in that company. Then I build an organization chart, a graph using language model. And then at the end, build a chat application with the language model to help me to know what should I say to these people. Who is the best person? Who is the decision maker to achieve, to reach, to communicate, and that kind of thing. So it's a very interesting project. This workshop has two sides. Code already is in um, um, repository, so you can go to the docs folder, apps, examples, apps, and LinkedIn, you will see that. And I will go and I record video later, and also we talk about it here. One step is extraction of the data, and the second one is building a web app. We already built a nice web app, show you the graph, and you can search, you can chat with AI. So this is what we're going to talk. But the core here is how can I get LinkedIn to let me to crawl the data available to me? That's what we're gonna do. As I said, I want to go through this a bit fast, but in another talk we go through it slowly with all the codes and details. First of all, you can get this collab as I mentioned in our GitHub repository. And when you come here, the first step is to run the library. I'll just zoom in a little bit. Some of the features in this demo is in our next or dev branch. It's not yet in the release, but it's going to be in the next release. That's why I am cloning from the next branch, and then I set up from the source code. But when we have these features on the next release, as usual, you just pip the library. That's it. You don't need to do cloning from the next branch. But specifically right now, this feature still is in the next branch. So keep this in mind. What we're going to do, we're going to clone it, and then and then I uh, and then after that, as usual, you run the Docker command to make sure that browser is installed, that kind of thing. I noticed that it's weird a little bit about the Colab. Sometimes Colab environment is faster, sometimes it's slower. and you may face with sort of fluctuation because I guess they are using some approach to make sure that they make best use out of their hardwares. But anyway, if you face with some error, make sure to run Crawl4AI setup separately. You need sometimes twice even, and it works, and it just do as well. Or sometimes you come to runtime after installation, restart the session, then run the Crawl4AI doctor. These are the little tricks that you may face with it in the collab, but it shouldn't be more than that. So right now I have the collab, and then the new features you can see in the Crawl4AI, one is the setup collab environment and a start collab display server. I'm working on this virtual display that led you to see your browser, the browser that Crawl4AI working with it. So if you're launching or putting Crawl4AI in your server and you're launching multiple versions of that, later you will see the new versions will show that you can get a URL to embed all those browsers are working together. So you can imagine like these movies, you can have all those browsers next to each other and see what is happening inside your crawler. So you can see, you can get the feeling of that. And let you to have a variety, multiple versions of them next to each other. And what I do is I just run it, and then I run the start collab display server, then I get this one. This is, and you know what? This is actual Docker container is running in the collab. It means that if I refresh my collab right now, I should see this browser again. And this browser, when you run the browser, it creates a folder. You see this folder profiles. There is this folder in the profile. Oh, we haven't reached to that point. So test profiles. And then when you open, you see all these subfolders. These are folders created by Chromium. Chromium is building a signature for who you are. I already, when the first time I run the code, I had to log into the LinkedIn. So I logged into the LinkedIn before we start the meeting. So I just keyed in my username and password, and I came to the page. This is the page that I want to crawl, list of companies. And this is my page. It means that even if I open a new page, okay, and I go to, for example, LinkedIn, it knows me. Look at that. I'll just zoom out a little bit. I'll close this one. You see, it show my account. It's just an actual browser. You logged in, it's there, the data is there. So let me refresh the page. So it's a little bit slow today. I hope I don't screw up by refreshing the page. So then when this come back, most likely I'm expecting to see the same browser, same place that I left it even. So this is connecting. I use sort of VNC players, and I'm back again, and I have my browser. So technically, if your collab always is running, as long as it's running, let's say collab can go to the sleep mode unless you're the pro user. But if it's running, it's there always. And collab allows you to expose API. So you can basically build an API server with collab and then stream this browser everywhere in your application. But of course, not for production, but for research and playground and everything else you're going to do, that is fantastic. So you can see that I am in LinkedIn. I don't need to log in anymore. So I do this only one time. That's the technique. You come here, you log into the LinkedIn. That's it. From this point forward, when you do any code with Crawl4AI, it keep using that Chromium instance that already logged in into LinkedIn. And we are adding some interesting feature that the login process also can be automated. You can provide your information and login process can be automated. And further is sometimes all the pages in the world, suddenly they may log out, sign you out and ask you to sign in again. And it detect that scenario and then sign in again. Right now, you should do that on the manually only one time. But we will add the features to make that one automated. So you have this place, you are here, and now let's do some fun. What I'm going to do is, let's just try, okay? Let's just try. So we're doing usual Crawl4AI code. We're creating the run config. As I said, I don't go through the details in this today talk. We do it in the talk. But what I'm doing, I'm going to this link. LinkedIn search results companies, keyword, it's just a sample keywords. For example, health insurance management. I'm searching for companies around this sector. And then I run the code. Let's see what's going to happen. I run the code. And I go up. Look at this. You see what is happening? It's loading. Now it's controlling. So now we're connected to this instance of Chromium. It loaded and browsed this page. It's very fun. To me, it's really fun when I see inside the collab a running Chromium instance. So you got access, okay? Now what we're going to do, the rest of this tutorial is about how to extract information. As you know that my favorite approach is not using LLM, keep using LLM. It's the wrong way of thinking. You can do a lot better, especially when we have this JSON sys extraction strategy in Crawl4AI, that it let you think and discuss and ask yourself. Here, I see a lot of HTML elements. Each one is a company. And let's have fun. Let's inspect the element. You know, it's a real browser, so you can inspect it. I'll go to Tools, Developer Tools, and now I'll pick up perhaps this one. Okay, nice. Okay, so this is the LI list item that forming all these companies' information. And if you think about it, look at that. In every one of these, you have title, you have company logo, we have descriptions, we have the number of followers. And what we do is we copy the HTML of this element. So is in the clipboard you have the HTML element of this one, and then you come and save it into a file, which I already have done it. So we have the HTML. We have the HTML of this one. This is the HTML, okay? Then I ask large language model only one time. Ask language models to create a schema, which we call it CSS-based schema or XPath schema. Language models read this HTML only, so you are using only one time. It creates a template that when you attach it to this element, it fetches the data that you wanted as a JSON. So you spend your money, your token, your GPU one time to build this schema. And how this schema is formed, if you are experienced with the CSS and all these kind of elements, it uses CSS data attributes, HTML attributes to find unique address for every element. For example, you can see the name of the company is here. It's in an A tag that has data test app ever links, and uses this kind of information to create a schema like this. This is a JSON schema. It says that, for example, the company handle name exists in such a kind of address CSS selector, or the company name, or descriptor, or the about, or the followers. And if you're not familiar with the CSS selectors or this kind of thing, you don't care. You just pass to the language models to generate that for you. And that is the techniques we use heavily in extraction of the data. And that's what is happening here. Here, at this step, let me run these steps. As I said, we will have another workshops to go through the code step by step and get you really comfortable with the code. But what matters here is to just get the gist of it. Here, what I'm doing, I'm using, as you know, that Crawl4AI has this function to generate that schema for you by use of language model, only one time. Here, I'm explaining. I am sharing this HTML with you, dear AI, and I'm interested to extract this information, handle, profile image, name, descriptor, and this and that, and you generate for me the schema. And that's what this part does. And when you run this code, it uses language models. In this example, I use Gemini 2.5 Flash, which is perfect for all this kind of stuff. And it generates for you the schema. So this is the schema. So you have the schema now. Now you are ready to do your crawling. And your usual crawling that you use in Crawl4AI. As you can see here now, I go to this page. I create my crawler run config. I create my JSON CSS extraction. I pass the company a schema, the schema we extracted. And then I call a run function. And now I have a list of all the companies. And I go through it. So to just get a sense of this one, let's try. I put, let's say to save the time, I just put max companies, 2 companies. I want to extract 2 companies. So I run this, and I want to go to, let's see the browser. Okay, look at that. It goes to the search companies page. Okay, it now extract the healthcare insurance, health plus insurance, and all this information that we wanted. And if you go down to see the log, okay, it's extracted 2 companies for us. Look at that. I put 3 perhaps. And then all our JSON information is handle, name, descriptor. You see, I'm not using language model anymore. Otherwise, it can't be super fast like that. So I'm not copy paste the HTML of the page and paste to the language models and ask language models give me a JSON like that. We just use that one time, and that's the benefit of it. And there's the same code for the people. People means go to the page of the company, click on the people page or go to the people page and extract the information. It's a very similar fashion. We have the people schema again. We pass the JSON extraction strategy. We have crawler run, and then we call the code and we collect the data. Let's run this one. I think to just make it faster, I'll make it like percent people. I make it like the first 2% to just be a bit faster. And I run the code. So let's go up and see what is happening here. Okay, it went to the page, it went to the people page and extract the information of the people. It goes to the next company page. It went to the people page again, extract the informations. So we're extracting, and I think we had 3 companies, if I'm not wrong, 2 or 3 companies. I think it is done. So now if I go, so we got information, yeah, we extract. And then this code save all the data into the output folder, and it give us 2, you see today is really slow, the collab. It give you JSON, all the information of all the companies and the people in that company, okay? So then you have the data. From this point forward is about how to build and visualize the data into a graph, which I believe for another talk. But let's just quickly understand what is happening here. As you can see, I can continue this forever. I can do this like the movie code all the day. And the point is, I'm not engaging with the human issues because I already put my identity in the browser. And I do it only one time. It means that if I sign out, I can sign out here. I can sign out and I can log in again and it's there. So you can do the same thing for all the kind of websites or activities or whatever you're going to do that. So basically you can create this Chromium, log into Amazon, log into Google, log into LinkedIn, X, whatever you want. This is your browser and all is saved into this folder, to this profile folder. You can even copy this profile folder, upload it somewhere else and do the same thing in that place. It's run as you move up. So you can think of doing this on your server. And Docker, the current Crawl4AI Docker allows you to upload or to create your container by passing a profile folder. And that's how it works. So you have your identity. This is my fingerprint, and I want to use that. You may even create multiple Chrome profile for different websites and then switch them and then use them. So that's one very important thing. Number 2, I said that we are adding automated solutions for sign in, sign out. So you don't need to key in your username and password by yourself for majority of the website. It does that for you. And this Chrome been there for 2 weeks. It didn't ask me to log in again because LinkedIn is like that. Some website, they sign you out every maybe 3 days or 4 days. And what you're going to do in your server, you make a 24-hour job to log in again. So you have a server Chrome tab, Chrome job, and every 24 hours, log in and do this. And the next things that we saw was how we create a schema one time and then use it. And very good news is we are adding a new feature soon that, like you can think of it like a Chrome extension, that you select which elements you want to crawl. So you even don't need to do that part yourself. To extract the HTML and then pass to the functions in the Crawl4AI, get the schema. So you basically open a page and say these are the components that I want to crawl. And then you get a file, you get the settings, the configuration, and then use that one. And then Crawl4AI use that one to continue doing this. So it's a very kind of user-friendly to let you spend less time on tasks that can be automated, like the one that I mentioned. But you can get the idea of how it goes. And the rest is self-explanatory if you're familiar a little bit with Crawl4AI, which is running the configs and passing the schema and getting the information. But the interesting thing for me is that first it's happening in a collab. It means a totally pure cloud version of the Crawl4AI. There's nothing on the desktop running. It lets you to have Chromium in many cases. If you do headful, you can pass all these kind of filters and you can show your human identity. And this is one technique out of 5-6 techniques that I mentioned to you before. And I will talk about them in other talks. And generating all these information and data at the end so that you have it. So you see this JSON-L, you can use it for fine-tuning, you can use it for building your next applications and building a dashboard perhaps, or whatever that suits you in that direction. I think I have an example of what we're going to create later. I'll share after talk because I have to run it. But the point is how you can extract the information in that version of building an identity. So I hope you understand the the process in general, but we're going to have another video, another talk to go through the code in details and spend more times on LinkedIn and other similar examples. And one very important thing, everybody, one very important thing that I'm really emphasizing is Crawl4AI or any other similar approach allows you to get permissionless data. This is important. You have to really spend time and think about it. Permissionless data. If you get data from Crawl4AI, is from OpenAI, or you get data from Google or anyone else, these data are not permissionless. You want to use for your language models, you want to use for your applications, then you will have a lot of kind of issues you have to think about it. But the data that you crawl yourself is permissionless. It's asset. It's your company value. It's your startup asset. It's your research asset. It's yours. You own it. And that's a very important thing. So that's why for me, even at the very beginning, I wanted to build my own library to get permissionless data from all these environments. If I want to go and use Twitter or X API and I have to pay them, it's okay, I pay them, but the data, it comes with a lot of TNC and difficulties to use in any way that I want it. So it's my data, but for example, I want to get all the posts that I posted in Twitter. I want to have it. I want to fine tune a model, get my habit, but I can't. I don't have that access. So permissionless is a beautiful thing that you can do that. And that's why you deserve to generate such data for yourself, for whatever applications you're creating. So this was a demonstration of identity base. This is not detailed workshop at all. This is just to give you the concept, the direction, and I think that's enough. So I'm done.
So, UncleCode, so you stop presenting. I'll just go back to the slide deck.
I stopped present streaming. Okay.
Yeah. All right. You're able to see the slide deck, right?
Not yet. I mean, your screen is coming. I see your mouse, but the screen is dark. It's black.
Okay. Let me see.
I have a question regarding the demo which you showed.
Please?
Oh, great. You were able to capture um, the code behind the website. Is it possible to also capture API-based URLs, which is getting generated?
You mean would you what do you mean by the API based URLs?
Yeah, so standard URLs are linkedin.com/in/ your company or your name, but API-based URLs are created in real time.
Oh, okay.
Whenever, yeah. Is it
Okay.
possible to capture those as well?
Absolutely. Very, very, very interesting question. Yeah, you know what? Most of time, many today application front end call an API from the back end, and back end returns back JSON, ready to use JSON that doesn't need you to even do any crawling. The JSON response is coming, and because many of these applications are becoming similar to each other the way they build it up. So if you can listen to the network request and see all of them, then you can even save the time. And that's exactly what we right now. Crawl4AI let you to capture all the network stream. So when it backs, you have the network stream. So you can see the network stream. You can see, oh, here there is a request, returns you back all the company information. So then you can take that one, and then you can do that. We are also adding this ability that, like AI help you to build a schema. We're going to add an ability to look at the network stream and detect those that they are returning data for you, and you can use them as well if there is like that. It's exactly that's one of the things we're going to do that. Yes.
Okay, I'm looking out for that.
Yeah. I'm going to talk about the roadmap, and actually part of the roadmap is this, but I'll just shift it a little bit. Perfect question.
Yeah, UncleCode. So yeah, over to roadmap.
Okay. So this I want to go through what we are planning right now, and let's give a little bit the sense of the future directions that we have for Crawl4AI, and in general for most of the activities that I like to do here. And I set up, I have this company in Singapore, is CogniLab. CogniLab is the place that I want to do a lot of AI researches. And Crawl4AI is one of the things that happening here. And then there are a lot of other things that I like to do that, but it all is under the AI spectrum and relevant data heavily. So what I do at Tuck right now, I just explain the major changes and components that we're thinking to do toward Crawl4AI in the roadmap. The first very interesting thing that is happening is two things comes first. First, I'm envisioning a network of browser. I call it browser net. What is this browser net? What you can see here that in this demo that you got an instance of Chromium running on your collab. What we're trying to do, we're trying to create a decentralized network of running browsers that you can use them for whatever you want to create. Is it crawling or web automations or anything else? And they come with flavor of features and ability. So you can imagine that there's this online peer-to-peer network that you can go and you can get a browser for maybe a few hours, use it. And these browsers come with a lot of features. You can have extensions, you can have Chrome extensions, you can have plugin, you can have a lot of things, and then use it in your applications, wherever you're going to do that. It looks like renting GPU. It looks like getting the GPU. But how this decentralized network works, it works by you guys. It decentralized. It means that everybody can use the client applications that we are going to create to let us to run browsers on everybody's computer, like kind of collaborative model. And then when you let it to be there, when in this network, people send requests to crawl pages. Let's say we build this API layer and people sending requests to do some crawling, automations, whatever. And then when you have a computer running browsers, you will be incentivized. You will get a portion of that benefits. And it works in that way. If you are familiar with the peer-to-peer file sharing platform, it works like that. It's decentralized, like a Bitcoin. And we have this huge network of the browsers. And these browsers are very, very light, very light. It looks like Chromium, but we change it, make it smarter, faster, lighter, less memory fingerprint. So I like to build this infrastructure for whatever you guys want to build that. And I'm extremely bullish into make it super affordable, extremely affordable, even close to nothing. And that required that decentralized network. And everyone is getting a favor, a benefit, incentivized to be the part of it. So that's one of the very important things we have in our roadmap. This is about the kind of platform that we're going to build, not necessarily what we're going to do in crawling. Then top of these platforms, we're going to build this API cloud access that you can get all these Crawl4AI services on the cloud if you don't want to do codings or building or running on your side. So these are about the platforms. So one very distinctive thing we're going to do is building a platform. And about the library is adding agentic model. What is this agentic model is like the question that I just answered. We're building this little agent kind of access. And what it does, it attaches itself to browser. And then you explain what you want to crawl. You say that I want to crawl company informations and the people informations. Then what it does, it has this analyzing stage that it goes to the page, it look at the page structures, it look at the network requests to see if there is any data coming from the API or many other ways. It finds the best way to write Crawl4AI code for you and launch that task in the browser net or on your Docker container or on the cloud. So there's no difference. My style is different than I create a library and I put more features in the paid version than the free version. That's not my approach. My approach, the library is the same. Everything is the same. My approach is providing a platform. If I want to make a business, it's more into the platform. The library is open source forever. There's no difference with that. So here, what you see is you get this agent to write Crawl4AI code for you. It looks like I am there for you, and I'm writing the code for you in the best way. So I will find the best way. Best way means less dependency on the language models, less dependency on the networks, can do things fast and efficient. So that's the next step after we build the platforms of the cloud and this and that to get the agentic one. And you can imagine that it has an environment like chatting with Cloudy, like chatting with the GPT, that you can chat with this agentic approach, and this agentic crawl, we call it agent crawl, and then it generate all the data and content for you and create the code for you. You can launch the code instantly in the cloud or your big Docker containers, and then you get out of it. And this is the another kind of thing that we do have in our plan. So then when we have all these kind of three components, the components browser net, the place that we can launch browsers, oceans of browsers. We host many of it ourselves first, and then we decentralize. You guys can do it, and I love to see that. This should become decentralized. Access to data, browsing web, crawling web should be decentralized. That's the only way that you can really, make an impact. So that's what I'm trying to say, and you are all incentivized in it. And then the cloud layer to give access to people, outsiders, to this browser net. And that is where the revenue comes from. So people come and engage and this, and then everyone joins this browser net incentivized. Then the third component is building this agentic layer, which produce all the features that Crawl4AI has for developers and non-coders. The market of non-coders is really strong, and people, they want help and they want support. So in this way, we can provide that one. And within this environment, we have different type of the browser. We have undetectable browser. We have browser with CAPTCHA support, or with other features that they can do that. And also we're trying to get some partners to come in for residential IP address and proxies. So it will be a kind of ecosystem for anyone who wants to do the data extractions and then use that one. And this agentic pipeline also will connect itself to Hugging Face to really host the data directly for fine-tuning, which being my very, very first desire of the crawling was generating the data for my fine-tuning project, as I mentioned to you, and producing the data directly. And if we can get also some sort of the access, we may even initial and start trigger the fine-tuning cycle automatically. And when all these things are done, we go for the final stage. Final stage is data generation, synthetic data generation. And this is very important because if you are familiar with fine-tuning and synthetic data generation, which is a very important thing these days because they say we are hitting the wall of the available data, so we have to generate new data. And to generate new data, we need to understand the natural distribution, the statistical distribution of the human data to be able to closely generate data close to human. And one thing very important is intentionality. Intentionality means that why you are crawling this data. You want to build something like that. So what we try to do, we try to collect that information. When people use Crawl4AI, when you guys use Crawl4AI, most likely you are using it for something. So if you share your intention, why I'm doing this, because I want to build this and that, I need this form of the data, I don't like this, I like that data, it produces the information to fine-tune some models that allows this browser net and people in a decentralized way to generate data for future AI models. And that data is interesting because it comes from very close human data and is synthetic data, very close to human data, and it generates a lot of data, and it has less issue with lack of information and available data. So you can see that we're starting from crawling, extracting, and eventually be back to generating the data for the future model. And I think that is the only component that stay around forever. If you're building an application that its job is create a chat, upload PDF, and then answer, sooner or later, big companies will do that again. And then you are just filling a hole in big company business models, and one day they do it, and you are irrelevant. But I think playing around the data level is the very natural lowest level that make you always be important, and is useful, and is crucial for democratizing access to the data. So to summarize, we are adding a lot of new features, keep adding every 2 weeks, every month, we're adding more features to Crawl4AI and make it very stable, strong, make it easy to use. make it agentic, and all this kind of thing. So that is something that is happening all the time and stay open source forever. In terms of the platform, we're introducing soon BrowserNet. So you can imagine that like just you can share a YouTube video on your website, you can share a browser, like what I did in the collab. You can just show interactive browsers wherever you want it. And you have access to that browser. That browser can be headful, can be headless. So you can get browser and launch the browser and then send your API access or whatever you want, whatever you're going to do with that one. So the API, the library is yours. The Crawl4AI is open source. But you want browser, you can come and get from the browser net. And one very important thing is that it's not just for crawling, for any other automation things that you want to do that. And then I talk about decentralized version of this network. It means that everyone interested, you guys can join, and you need just a computer, and then you're gonna have a client. It's open source code. You can see the code, transparent. You can run it on your computer, and it led your computer to become a node into this browser net cluster. And when people send requests, you become a part of this network. I'm more interested in this approach than hosting a lot of browsers on Amazon Cloud. This is what we have to do. And you will be incentivized when your service, your resources is going to be used. It's very similar to peer-to-peer file sharing or Bitcoin or anything like that. And even we are discussing to bring tokenomics, means creating a token that you can get token and you can redeem your token into a cash or other form of benefits. And then we have this cloud access. So if you are building an application and you don't want to do anything about codings or whatever, you want to just get this API. If you have already another systems is changed to modify the code of that system, you need an API, you will use our API layer. And then after that is about agentic or agent crawl, which led you to have conversation and have an agent to build the best possible code from Crawl4AI to crawl the information that you want. So you eventually don't need to do yourself. So you just let the agent crawl to do that and then get the code, host it in the browser net, or you're running it yourself. And finally is the data generation. So this is the roadmap that we have for Crawl4AI. I'm very, very excited about it. Really super excited. It's just changed the entire of my life. And daily I'm spending more than 90% of my day about these tools and talks and all this kind of stuff. I hope this can be something that can really boost up whatever you guys you do, which is relevant to the data. And I think permissionless data is what you should care. You should really care about this one. I mean, this is going to be very important. Soon, everybody in the world want their own AI, their own data, their own access, and startups that they keep this in their mind, there will be a winner in the case. So that's about the roadmap that we have for our journey. So that's it for the roadmap.
All right, guys.
Time.
So this is the last portion of our meetup. So yeah, so we have a quick pop quiz for you. So whoever wins this quiz gets 1 hour one-on-one coding with UncleCode. So he'll solve whatever problem you have. And the second prize is going to be, we take your feature request on priority. And the third one is going to get a bunch of free credits once we launch this browser net. So yeah, so quickly scan this QR code that's shared here, and we will just go for this quiz. Yeah. You guys able to see my screen, right?
You can see the
Yes.
Slido.
We can see Slido.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
We need the QR code.
So guys, scan the QR code and then do the best, and I'll become your personal assistant. Much better than Cloudy 4, 5, or at least till Cloudy 10, I am better. But then after Cloudy 10 version, I don't know. So great. So should I join myself or no? I shouldn't join, huh?
Yeah, not us, just the audience member.
I will get a bonus to have meeting with myself.
Yes, you can join just for fun.
That would be very fun.
All right, like we'll wait just one more moment. Like, is there anyone else waiting to join, or shall we start?
Start.
Start.
Less than.
Okay, we have one more.
Oh,
Go ahead, guys. Like, yeah, just let us know in the chat if you are like having any trouble joining in. Baby is there on the chat. She'll help you guys out.
The code, you guys should scan the code and you will be in.
We have
Yeah.
one. Okay, I think it's not loading for me. One thing that always works, you close it and then open again. Try to scan again. This is the only solution that works.
All right. I think we'll start.
Okay.
Let's start.
Yeah. Let's go. So, what's the quickest command to unleash Crawl4AI from your terminal?
As always, fun. Quiz is really fun.
Okay, time's up. All right. So, okay. So we have a CLI tool. It responds to CRWL crawl. So yeah. So like if you guys haven't used it so far, like just go give it a try. It's yeah. Next, for extracting structured data repeatedly and cost effectively after an initial setup, which approach is recommended for Crawl4AI? We just went through this just now.
So everyone should be able to answer correctly.
Okay. So yeah, this is kind of a okay. We had like the same option repeating twice, but yeah, we'll give extra points for like whoever uh, answered both options. It's my bad. I configured it incorrectly.
That's
Okay,
so funny.
let's go. Let's go for the next one. Want the freshest data, no cache. So set cache mode in crawler run config to which of these options?
This is tricky question.
You have to. Four people answered, right? Four people.
Absolutely
Yeah,
is not this.
yeah. So it's bypass. So if you say bypass, it still puts your data in the cache, but like every time it fetches the new version. Okay, so next one. So how to get that lean, mean, fit markdown in Crawl4AI?
Oh, that's a perfect thing that I started for.
Okay, we have 5 more seconds. All right, time's up. So yeah, it's
Nice.
most of you got it right. It's the pruning and the
You have
BM25
two
filters.
strong algorithms for generating clean markdown. One is the pruning, which remove anything that is irrelevant, doesn't have relevant information. The second is BM25, that you can even pass a query and it really extract markdown about that query. It's very good, especially when you are extracting big articles or pages or informations or even documentations that you can pass. I'm interested in this.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Next one. To extract data from JSON CSS extraction strategy, you will need a what? So we just saw that in the demo that UncleCode made. Okay, time's up. Okay, everybody got this right. Yeah, it's JSON schema.
That's very good, very
Awesome.
good. It's like a template. That's very good.
Okay, next question. What's the easiest way to generate JSON schema for JSON CSS extraction strategy?
Pen and paper.
You could do it like that also, but yeah, it's easiest. Okay,
Yes.
I think it was
Well,
everyone got it.
to be honest, it was pen and paper for years. That to
Yeah,
produce a schema, was just like kind of thing, and it considered as a smart thing to do. And you literally you can go to the chat GPT and do that. You can go to the chat GPT, paste one example of the JSON schema that we need, and then explain to the chat GPT, this is the HTML of the elements, and this is an example of the schema that I want to generate that one. Most likely, a good model of chat GPT should be able to do that. But generate the schema already have done the prompt engineering for you and some sort of tricks and changes to make sure you get very, very standard, good schema for your extraction.
awesome. Okay, when calling the Docker API, complex configs are wrapped in JSON using what? Okay, 5 more seconds, and time's up. Okay, let's see. Okay, good number got it right. So this is something
Yeah.
that we saw in Discord. Yeah, type and params. Good, UncleCode. Yeah.
Remember everybody, because we have this crawling run configuration objects. That's the only thing we need, right? And this configuration object has a lot of parameters, many parameters. Many of these parameters, their value is just a literal, like integers, like a string. For example, you say wait delayed before returning HTML 2 seconds, 3 seconds. But some parameters, their value is instance of another class, like markdown generator strategy, like LLM or like extraction strategy. Those that their value is another class. So when you are sending to the URL, you have to send JSON. So that's why they are another JSON object. So type is for them. Type says this is from that class, and params are values we send to constructor of that class. And this is nested. It can repeat it again and again and again. So that's why type and params are important to passing your this. And when we release agentic pipeline, it will do all the things for you.
Excellent. All right, let's go for the next one. Which LLM provider is not supported by Crawl4AI?
That's a very good question. I remember at the very beginning, one person said, "This is open source project. Why you don't support open source LLMs?" And I said, "I'm supporting."
All right. Yeah, this is also like we support almost every LLM provider. So we are provider agnostic. We use a adapter kind of library called Light LLM. So whatever is supported there, which is almost every provider that's out there, including the local LLMs like Olama or LM Studio. Yeah, so there you go. It's provider agnostic. Okay, let's go for the next one. If a web crawler had a personality, what mythical creature would it be?
That is like
What is the right answer to this? I see.
So
Absolutely.
this is like okay, so a dragon, a unicorn, like so. All of them are right answers in that.
I didn't know this question, guys. That's interesting.
Cool. Okay, so
Cool.
last and final question. So like you guys really have to push this thing. Um, so set user data dir and this use persistent context in true setting it to true in the browser config. What you will primarily get. So this is a bit of an advanced question. So,
So we'll define the winner by this question.
Good,
okay,
good,
yeah, this is
good.
like yeah.
Very
So
good.
it lets you yeah, Uncle Code, like yeah, you just covered it in your session.
Yes,
You
that's
just
very. You technically you carry forward your profile identity. Even if you go to your depends on your operating system. Your Chrome save your data in a folder. You can go and copy that folder and pass it to Crawl4AI. Your daily browser become your uh, under your fingers. You can control it. You can do whatever you want it. This is a perfect way to really have access to all the information you literally have access already. So, moment of the truth.
yeah, who won? Okay, so
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
with
he
8
got
out of
almost
10 questions.
every question right.
Congratulations to Hubert.
Hubert, Hubert.
Ooh, perfect, perfect, perfect. Nice. I
Awesome. So yeah, Hubert, great. Like just we'll connect with you on DM for scheduling that one-on-one session. And the second prize was Ahmed. So yeah, Ahmed, like you get an option to like suggest us what should be the next feature that we should build. And Shubham, you are getting free browser credits like once we launch our browser net. Yeah, so there you go.
Super.
So let's move to the next section of the quiz.
very good,
It's
very good, very interesting.
Q&A. So yeah, let's get back to the. So I'll stop presenting. So this is the final thing in our meetup today. So whoever want to speak, like there is and ask a question. So there is a hand symbol to the top right corner. So just go and click there. So we'll just open up your mic so you could ask questions.
Yes, because in the chat, no one dropped any of the questions. So now let's see.
We have one question in chat, I guess.
Yes, regarding content selectors.
Where is the question? Where
So it's in the chat. Well, you guys can actually come and ask the question yourself also, but it's okay. Like we can read your questions as well if you are like feeling a little shy.
Oh, okay,
Yes,
sorry.
you don't
So
need to open the camera. You
if
can just
I'm
talk.
trying to scrape an article, but the websites I'm using has a continuous scroll, so the main article, they would mean targeting all articles used in the page. What is the best way to target the first article? I tried adding n child 1 to the end of the class of trying first with no luck. Baby is sleeping. Okay, so sweet dream for your baby. And let's understand the question. If I'm trying to scrape an article, but the website I am using has a continuous scroll. I mean, just continues. It means you go to the very end, it continue. You go to the very end, it continue. And so target the main article div would mean targeting all articles divs on the page. What is the best way to target the first article? I tried adding the first child. Okay. If you are, if my understanding is right, if you are just interested in the first article, why at the first place you need to scroll down to the very end of the page? Perhaps we can disable that ability to scroll to the end of the page to get the rest of the data. And also that's one thing. But number two, that even if you go to the end of the page, The only thing that you have to be careful about it is in your wait for, make sure the main div elements is appear, so you can take the first element. And also another thing is that when you are trying to get the first article, if the main is a div, let's say is a div, and inside the div we have these childs. So when you use end child one, you have to make sure that you are referring to these divs elements, not the whole article, because the whole div get you back to all the articles. So if let's say the main div ID is main, you're gonna write main and then greater than div then end child one. This is give direct access to the first element of div. So it's more about the CSS selector, properly use the CSS selector. So I hope I get the questions correctly. But the thing is that do not refer this end child first to the main div, because it's only one main div, and you get back the entire of the divs. I don't know if I am correct in your question or not.
Yes,
And
understood
then,
correctly.
oh, okay. So it's just like that. So if we have A, the parent tag, and then we have B, let's say B is whatever. So A, and greater B n child one returns you the first B within the tag A, supposedly to be like that. But anyway, you can even not scroll, extract all the data, it just returns back the first one, just one simple way of thinking about it. But also there are different ways, one is the one that I mentioned to you. It always there are different ways to reach to the elements that you want in the page. So now we go for the second question. Great session, you're welcome. Just checking if you recorded the session. I was driving while Uncle was providing the examples, and I want to back to review. Oh yeah, I think we recorded video, right?
We are recording. We are recording the video,
Yeah.
and yes, together we will post it also on our socials. But I think UncleCode will provide another tutorial to go into detail, so that one we will post as well. And also we'll have another session where he will show hands-on. So you just keep an eye on that session.
Yes, we're gonna have a detailed review of the LinkedIn example because I noticed many questions about this. So we should do one deep example, explain the whole things, and then everyone can get benefit of it.
Nice. I
Thank
think
you.
Perfect.
yes, everyone is saying thank you very much everyone for joining. Anyone has any other questions? So it's good you can use this opportunity. Uncle Corey is here to answer.
We are we are really planning to have more meetup sessions like this with focusing on different features of the Crawl4AI. For example, maybe one week we focus on markdown generation. Maybe one week we focus on the dynamic activities, running JavaScript codes. Maybe one week we focus on CSS selectors and that kind of things. We're going to continue these kind of stuff to together build a lot of educational contents, and then we keep it available outside and then share it. I think that would be good. So in any case, you guys interested, you can share those topics that you want content for that. It would be very helpful. So that means we know exactly which directions we step to build something that it matters, help. We can share those things in, maybe we can have a channel for this one, maybe we can create a channel for the content and then get it. We have another question here. Have you attempted using Crawl as a tool decorator to Pydantic agents? Currently, what I'm doing. This is very interesting, especially Pydantic agents. When I look at a lot of library outside, I wish Pydantic could do this far sooner to become a standard. It's a very good way because many programmers used to work with um, uh, take care, Shubham. Thank you so much for joining, and have a good day. He has his child woke up. So I was just saying that Pydantic usage, we use it extremely for our daily library, and for the agents could be like that. But the idea of the curator as a tool is a very interesting thing. It's been discussed internally, and it's in the backlog, Matt, and to find a way that the curator can be library agnostic. It means that people can use it with Pydantic or other library available out there. To be honest, I'm waiting a little bit to make sure what are those libraries become more stable, and then we create a decorator for them to inject crawling as a decorator for other libraries and other applications. This is definitely very interesting things to have in the backlog and using it. So it's been discussed and it's in the backlog. And I guess that's it. So it's very cool. It's a very cool thing.
We have one more question. I think Ali is typing, so we'll wait for Ali to
You
finish.
So
know,
one more thing, we are trying to build a showcase of creators like who's building with Crawl4AI. So whatever you are making, just come forward, like let us know, like either me or BB, what you are building. Like also, like we are planning to do this meetup once every 15 days going forward. So if you want to present something, show what you build to the world and like get more traction. Yeah, we are always
definitely.
open. Let us know.
Yeah, definitely a step in. I love to see this. Very enjoyable part of this meetup is that part. You guys come and show off your products, whatever you build with Cloud4AI, and it's good. And one more thing is that about back to uh, the agentic behavior is what Matt was sharing here is we are even thinking if we can find a way to make the decorator somehow act like MCP for other tools. So it means that if you are creating an agent and you're exposing your functions as a tool, you can add sign tool. Many libraries are like that. But you can also attach crawling in them to give them the ability of crawling the internet or web or a page or anything like that. But anyway, as I said, it's in the backlog. I'm personally very excited about it. You're welcome. You're welcome, dear Matt. So I guess that's good for all, right?
Yes, I
Yeah.
think that's all.
Okay. Perfect. That was fun. How was it, guys? The first meeting, the first meetup of Call for AI.
It was,
I loved it.
yes, it was nice, and it's nice to see, like maybe about the timing, we can also throw a poll later because we know
Oh yeah.
people are joining from different parts of the world, so we can see which time is more suitable. But yeah, it's great to have this kind of catch-up sessions. And like Uncle Cod said, it's not something very official. It's like it's more like friendly meetups. And just feel free to join us, guys, for next one, for the upcoming ones.
Absolutely. Thanks, Bibi. You mentioning this one. I guess we have to practice different time zone, see which one really matches with people. Based on the community that we do have it. I really later communicate and see which one is that. And number two is that guys remember one sort of the meetups we're gonna launch soon is about developing. For example, let's say this week I'm working on streaming browsers, the one you saw in the collab. Maybe one day we announce that we are developing the part of the features. You guys can come and collaborate in that building the features. You see how we build Crawl4AI. So it's very interesting experience. You get feedbacks immediately. We can do that. This is the kind of thing that we love to do in general with all you guys. But yes, we should practice different time zones. Thank you, Bibi. You mentioned this. Okay, that's all.
Yes, perfect.
You're welcome, Ali. You're welcome, Nav. I'm happy that you guys enjoyed it. Uh, provide your feedbacks, and it motivates us to do more.
Yes. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Have a have a great day ahead. So we'll see you in next meetup.
Take care, everybody. We will share this video recording sessions and stay tuned. We're going to have another talk about the details of the LinkedIn projects and many more things. Stay long, live long, and import crawl for AI. Bye
Yes. Bye bye.
Hey guys.
bye,
Bye.
everybody. Bye, everybody. Have a good day.